Right, welcome everybody to my lecture. We have a bunch of people in our Discord server right now sitting. Say hi in the chat. YouTube will see you eventually if you want to say hi. But yeah, hey all. We do this very frequently. It's basically like an improvisational lectures on topics that my students and my community in Valhalla for Artists request. And today our lecture is called Positive and Negative Loops. We're going to talk about how to structure your day, what to think about, what to not to think about, what are positive loops, what are negative loops in our lives, how to deal with that, and there's going to be just a bunch of mentality tips and tricks. So if you are struggling with procrastination, where you're going in life as a freelance artist or as a creative, I think this lecture is for you. I just gonna talk about a few things that helps me in my career as a freelance artist, about hiccups, things that I struggle with the most, things that help me the most with my productivity and good mood, right? And then we're gonna summarize it all nice and good, and put a what was it called, a present. Well, when you wrap a present, what do you call it? I don't know. Sorry, English second language. but yeah, if you guys are joining this on YouTube, we have an amazing Discord community. We're doing it right now on stage, and at the end of this session, we're gonna have a Q&A session with the Vikings directly. So I already collected some questions, as you can see here. Thank you, Marco, for delivering them. I'm gonna answer all of them. Right, and if there's gonna be more, I'm gonna answer it too. So without further ado, let's go. So what's the number one struggle in our creative careers, right? In my opinion, it's procrastination and focus that leads to a destructive way of living, to represent a negative loop. Let's just go on the journey of my negative cycle. What is a negative cycle in a day? Let's just think about it, right? So you wake up super groggy. Here's your bed. You wake up around, I don't know, if you don't have a day job and it's the weekends, and if you didn't have to go to a day job, let's say it's a free day, you wake up around, I don't know, 11:30 to 2 p.m. In my life, I even sometimes would wake up at 4 p.m. Whoops. I woke up. It happened to me many times, but I would wake up at 4 p.m. I feel no energy whatsoever when I wake up. I don't want to paint anything. And what do we do right away when we wake up? Any guesses in the chat? I'm reading it right now. Well, we pick up our phone right away. We start looking at our phone. We check our social media. We check our news, politics, YouTube, Minecraft videos, and then we stay in bed for like what? An hour, 30 minutes, and then we slowly crawl out, and then we probably sit in front of our computer right away. That's what I do usually in my negative loop. I have my Cintiq here, right? And I sit down on my computer right away. I have an amazing wife, so even though I am a horrible person who has an organization in their life, sometimes, again, this is my negative loop, she actually brings me my food right to my desk. And I usually either play Hearthstone right away, or watch YouTube, or play Overwatch right away, right? I'm overstimulating my brain with dopamine. If no one knows what dopamine is basically a happy substance that we as human beings do everything for. And the problem in our today's age that there's too much of it everywhere, and it's too easy to get it. Usually, people of the past would get it when they would hunt, gather, accomplish something great, and then their brain would say, "Good job." In our society, sadly, gratification can come, right away, early in the morning, without doing anything, right? And again, that's dopamine. Dopamine neither bad or good. Most of the time, it's good. It's the motivation substance in our brain. right? But we want to be not motivated, but we want to feel, you know, at a boy, at a girl right away without doing any work. And then what happens? All right, it's already like 3 p.m. when I start finishing my breakfast, right? When I'm finishing my breakfast, and I usually don't even finish my breakfast. I only eat, I don't know, half of my oatmeal, and then I have like jelly beans on the side that I snack on, full of sugar, and then I usually have my peach juice too, right? And then lunch comes, you know, you're sitting down and you're like, I have to work, but you know what? I'm already unproductive, so you know what? Let's wait until lunchtime. So you are, if you're me, you know, and I remember when I used to do that when I was just alone. You go and you put yourself some ramen noodles, and you continue watching YouTube. And YouTube is probably, it's probably playing in the back of your, it's probably playing in the back of your screen too, if you have two screens, right? And then you're playing video games, probably have your phone on the right, checking Instagram, and then listening to YouTube at the same time, plus eating your ramen noodles, right? And then you have, like, I don't know, your Photoshop file or any creative endeavor that you are doing on your computer, because most of the creative people work from a computer, opened, and maybe you have a brush stroke somewhere over there. And then maybe you finally, around, like, what time is it? Around 6 p.m. You're like, you know what? I have to do at least something. So you probably join Discord or something like that, and you start painting. And notice something. You're always sitting on your computer. You're not going anywhere. You're just sitting and doing the same thing all over and over again. And then some thoughts start popping up in your brain. Will I ever be great? Some negative thoughts. Because you want to concentrate, but you don't know what to do, right? And again, you maybe do, I don't know, a stick figure doodle in your Photoshop file. Or you do a little bit of editing, or maybe a little bit of music composing, or a little bit of, I don't know, anything, right? And then you start self-bashing yourself, I'm a horrible human being. I accomplished nothing today. I'll die alone. None of the studios will love me, and all that stuff, right? Right. And then what happens? Well, then you get tired. Around, I don't know, it's 10:30 already, and you're like, you know what? I'm really tired. What you tired from? Well, battling your procrastination, because every time when you do all those activities, your Photoshop file is open, and every time you're doing nothing but the thing that you're supposed to do, your brain is feeling guilty, you're feeling guilty, and you're not, you're not accomplishing, or you're not living to your full potential. And then what happens is you give up. Around 10:30, you're like, you know what? I haven't done anything good today, but tomorrow maybe will be a better day. Let me play some Overwatch or Dota 2. Let me watch some Netflix. It could be on a computer, or maybe you'll go in bed already, right? For some people, it's like, a lot of people consume adult content. That is really, really bad for your, it's overstimulating your brain. And then what happens is it's around, I don't know, 12, it's 000 o'clock to like 2 a.m. And you're like, well, I really don't want to go to bed. I still have a lot of energy. And a lot of times, sometimes some people will get an interesting surge burst of energy when they actually work 20 to maybe 30 minutes out of an entire day on something productive in their Photoshop file or any creative endeavor. Why? I'll cover it a little bit later. And then you go to bed right away. It's probably within, I don't know, 5 minutes. You just go, and you just die in bed. And then you still on your phone, probably in bed until, I don't know, like 4 a.m. Again, I am doing worst case scenario. This is me describing my day, right? So I'm not describing some loser. I'm describing the best loser that I know, which is me, right? And then what happens? You start everything all over again. It's just like a giant negative loop, right? And a lot of people think that the only thing that needs to change in this loop is some kind of, I don't know, magical mentality about something, right? Or I don't know, some magic course that is gonna save their life, or a magic program, or a YouTube video. Man, the best way of procrastination in the negative loop is procrastinating on watching videos on how to not procrastinate. Or procrastinating on videos on how to be productive. Okay? So you all know this cliche, stupid, not stupid, but pretty good saying. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing all over again, expecting a different outcome, right? And why today's lecture is called Positive and Negative Loops is, if we do the same thing all over again and change absolutely nothing, we're gonna be where we're at for the rest of our lives. Sometimes some kind of unexpected thing happens in our lives that breaks the loop. Sometimes. Let's say over here. You get woken up for some reason super early in the morning. You take a shower and someone told you to I don't know, make up your bed, and then all of a sudden when you get to the computer, something changes. So a lot of people experience unexpected interventions into their negative loops. It could be a trip, it could be different time zones. I remember I broke one out of my negative loops once. I traveled back to Russia, and then when I came back to America, I was still in Russian time. But in America, I would wake up at 6 a.m. and I was like, wow, at 6 a.m. it's still dark. Kind of nice, right? And then I would go and take a cold shower. And then I would sit on my computer and already eaten with my wife because it's nice early morning. And then I felt super productive. And then for 3 or 4 hours, I would do very intensely deep work. Again, I discovered this accidentally. Because I didn't know that positive loops existed. I thought that I always tried to do my best, and I didn't know I was in a negative loop, right? So number one thing that you need to know is you need to acknowledge what your loop looks like. It could be negative or positive, could be neutral. You could have good parts of your day and bad parts of your day. You could have dips in the middle somewhere. As Stoic philosopher says, you need to know thyself. And if you know thyself, you can understand what are your habits, what your weaknesses are, and what you need to work on. And number one thing is, again, you need to see what you're doing wrong, right, in your negative loop, and then say, does this benefit my goals? Let's think about a positive loop. But because before we talk about the positive loop, we need to talk about other things, right? Because there's a reason why we behave the way we behave. And now I'm going to talk about procrastination and a little bit about ADHD, right? A lot of creative people have ADHD. I don't know how it translates into English. I just know what is it? Attention deficit hyper something disorder, right? I don't have an official diagnosis for me, but I had a lot of students that I mentored that had ADHD, and every time I would go on a video describing ADHD, that's basically me, right? It's having a hard time focusing on something for long periods of time that your brain finds hard, even though you know you need to do it, and then you basically put everything till the last moment. And that's absolutely fine. I'm gonna say this: ADHD brain is not a curse. I think it's a blessing in disguise. I might do a separate lecture about this because I think there is such thing as hyper achieving or hyper productive ADHD brains. All you have to do is just know a couple of tips and tricks, and maybe today I will cover it, maybe no, we'll see how the lecture goes, right? But ADHD creative brains or regular brains, honestly, we all tend to procrastinate. And procrastination is not an evil person. Procrastination is neither good or bad. Majority of times we think of procrastination as a bad thing. I'm going to tell you this. Are you productive at procrastinating? Right? People in the chat. Are you productive at procrastinating? I am so productive, I can have a headache temperature. I can feel pukish, and I'll still play Overwatch with like a 15 lose streak at the same time, flaming everyone in chat, or playing Dota 2 for, I don't know, until my, like, I remember playing Dota 2 until I had cramps in my right hand and my left hand too, because I was like clicking on buttons so much. But why can't we be productive, right, at the things that we love? And why are we so productive at the things that don't matter at the moment? I gotta tell you, procrastination appears when we have lack of understanding what we need to do. Right? Our brains want to be productive. Our brains really wants to be productive. And procrastination comes not because we don't want to be productive, but because we don't know how to be productive about the things that we need to focus on, and we try to be productive at least at something. Right? Yeah, some people in the chat said we ride the wave of chaos. It could be right? We do ride the wave of chaos because that's how we know. We know how to click on a YouTube video, watch it all the way till the end, and get happy about it, right? We know how to play video games because the objective is clear, right? Objective is clear. We know what to do. We know what to do. And we do it very well. We play video games, Overwatch, Dota 2, anything that we want to, for insane laser focus, while we also listening to a YouTube video and get distracted by Instagram and still manage somehow to play, sometimes well, sometimes not, but we are very hyper focused at it, right? And when I was trying to organize my day and break out of my negative loops, I asked this question: why can't I be as productive at the things that I actually love when as I'm procrastinating, right? And the answer was actually pretty simple. The answer was pretty simple. It's called Victory Plan. It's called Victory Plan. There were some questions in the Q&A chat that was kind of aiming towards a victory plan, because a lot of the times, the reason why we can't focus, or it's too hard to focus sometimes, or we have brain fart days and we start procrastinating, is because either the task is too hard or too vague. And you know what? I really strongly recommend for you guys to take notes and write something down while you listening to this, in terms of the things that you understand for yourself most, right? Because again, I'm making this lecture so you can organize your day better, right? It's either too vague, right? Task is too hard, too vague, and or too painful and pointless, right? And this is when we come to a concept called I have no idea how to spell this place, but so people can spell justifiable for me. Justifiable pain, right? Too painful and too pointless. It has to be justifiable pain. Let me explain a little bit more about this, right? So procrastination appears when the task is unclear, or it's too hard, or your brain thinks it's too hard, right? When we play, man, I have no idea how people play and learn Dota 2. So for example, I'm just gonna tell you, Dota 2 or League of Legends, Dota 2 has 130 heroes, has a map, and has like, I don't know, 30 items in it that you have to use. And each of 130 heroes has 4 to 5 to 6 unique abilities. If you're gonna tell me that you have to memorize 130 people and know all of their backstory, how they interact with other people, their lore and everything else, I'm gonna say this is impossible to learn. But with Dota 2, or League of Legends and everything else, I did learn all 130 people or all 130 heroes. I learned all of their abilities and how to play, and I played at a pretty good level, right? Okay, my brother might not agree with that, but I did play MOBAs at a pretty for a pretty good level. And you're gonna tell me I wasn't being productive? I've been productive. I've just been productive at the wrong thing. And the reason I was productive at the wrong thing is because the objective is clear. In MOBAs, you have 2 thrones, 3 lanes. You have a main guy, a guy who hits, a guy who supports, a guy who tanks, and a guy who supports the tank. That's it. You have to either destroy this or that, and you do it by throwing abilities here and there. And this simple kind of structure, I learned 130 heroes and all their abilities. You see what I'm going with this, right? So when you think that the task is too hard, right, and procrastination appears, it means your goal is unclear and your brain thinks that it's too hard. You have to, first of all, dumb it down, and clarify. There could be mistakes in my in my presentation, but it's fine. To clarify your goal. Break it into simple steps, and then you have to understand the why. There's a saying that life's supposed to be problems that you want to solve. Right? So your life has to be problems that you want to solve, and you understand why you want to solve. So for example, I love my job as a car script artist. It's frustrating sometimes because there's so many things to juggle around, but it's problems worth solving. And I know that I'm doing it for a reason. But let me get you through the whole. See, this middle section, we're getting to the positive loops, but you have to understand this concept first, right? So negative loop is what? Procrastination appears because the lack of understanding what we need to do, and objective is not clear. It's supposed to be not clear. Objective is not clear. Oh no, for procrastination it was clear, right? Because we're procrastinating productively, right? So first of all, we need to understand where we want to be, what we need to do that, right? And if task is too hard, you dumb it down and you just say. So for example, let's say you all artist. A, I just need to sit down, right? And let's say, or let's do this. I want to be, let's say, we all start with a question or a statement. I want to be, throw some statements. Who you want to be, guys? I want to be a VizDev artist, for example. I want to be a VizDev artist, right? I want to be a VizDev artist. Okay, cool. What's next? What do I need to do to be a VizDev artist? Okay, I need a portfolio. Why do I need a portfolio? Well, because clients will hire me. Okay, cool. So that means if I'm gonna go sit down and make a study right now, I'm making this because first of all, it's gonna benefit my goal of becoming a VizDev artist, and secondly, it's gonna look good in my portfolio, and I get monetization of my talent, and I can continue doing what I love. Okay, all right. How do I do a study? All right, I need to sit down, find the reference, and you don't think further. You just sit down and find the reference. Step 2. You're like, okay, Misha had a great tutorial on how to do studies. I'm just gonna go and follow one tutorial. Excuse me. I'm gonna follow one tutorial, and I'm gonna do it within the next 2 hours, right? So again, we need to make things not as vague as possible, because a lot of you guys have very vague, simple statements about themselves, which is, I want to be in an entertainment business as an artist. And then you're like, well, do you want to be an environment artist? Do you want to be in animation as a 2D artist? Do you want to be a layout artist? Do you want to be a character designer? Character designer has different branches. Do you want to do like hard surface stuff? Do you want to do like creature design? Do you want to do a prop design? Do you want to be a color key artist? Do you want to be a keyframe artist? More specificity, right? And like some people say, I want to be the very best like no one ever was, right? In your career. That's awesome, right? That is great. But what does it mean to be the very best? Right? Then you have to define it and be more specific. That's where victory plan comes in, right? First you have to, and again, you need to have a vision. And remember, I have a lecture, I think, what's it called? Best skills with Vista of Art or something like that, in the art camp, and we talked about the rocket, the different motivations, right? Motivation and procrastination kind of goes hand in hand, right? But you have to figure out who you are, why you're doing the task, how it's going to benefit you in the long run, right? And how to do the task. Do a victory plan. And the main, very important part of this, you need to resonate with the thing that you're doing. Because a lot of you guys, and you know what, that's an interesting thing. A lot of times, I didn't understand a lot of people who are like, I'm too lazy to draw or paint. I'm like, what do you mean? Don't you have a bunch of ideas in your head? Because I'm going to reveal you a secret, guys. I became unproductive. For a majority of my life, I was very productive, and I was always in positive loops because of some circumstances. And let's go into positive loops now. So now we know that procrastination or negative loops usually appear because we don't know where we're going, we don't know who we are, we're not conscious of a negative loop, right? The objective of our life, of our career, or where we're going is unclear. We need to specify it. We need to make sure that the task is not too hard and not too simple, right? Because if it's too simple, it's boring. If it's too hard, it's soul crushing. You have to come up with a victory plan and non-vague, super specific steps that you're going to do right here, right now, for this amount of time, and you're going to be finished here, right? Because master procrastinators, when we have a deadline, we are amazing. Because it doesn't matter if we're going to be procrastinating for 4 days. I did that a lot of times. I had to do like 15 frames for a color key job once. I procrastinated for the entire week because I just went into a negative loop that went horribly wrong. But then the deadline day saved me. I worked for like 18 hours straight, and I did all 16 paintings in one day, and they loved it, right? Because you have your why, and your why is, I don't want to die, I don't want money, and I don't want to be fired, right? That's your why. But your why needs to be more positive than just avoiding pain. Your why has to be inspiring and has to resonate with you. For example, today I woke up. I didn't want to go to a cold shower, even though I go for the last 5 years to the cold shower. I didn't want to do this or that, and even though, but you know what? I really wanted to do this lecture because it resonates with me. And even though I'm horrible at organization because you just listened to me to fumble and bumble for 20 minutes, opening OBS, not doing everything on time, but because my resonate of why I do this, because I want to make your life better and your life more productive, and I want more creative people and artistic people to participate in the creative industry, because I think animation industry is dying and we need young voices, all of that, right? But because the goal resonates for me so much, I don't want to play Overwatch right now. You constantly need to constantly remind yourself why you're doing the thing that you're doing, and basically prove to your brain that this is important, right? And then you'll stop procrastinating right away because the task is clear and you resonate with it. And it's justifiable pain because you don't even notice the pain. It's just a nice challenge because you love what you do and you do it for a reason, right? So for you guys, if you're in the creative industry is amazing. It's really hard to get into, but if you have hard time concentrating, painting, and you just go back to like procrastinating, watching adult content, or I don't know, sitting in bed eating ramen noodles or something like that, remind yourself why you did that in the first place. Go watch the animation, inspire yourself, remind why you do the thing that you do, and you're like, why am I doing this? because I want to feel something while I do it. I want other people to feel the same thing that I'm feeling right now while I'm painting, or I'm listening to this song right now and I want other people to experience this song but in a visual medium, right? Or I want to create those animation things. When I saw like How to Train Your Dragon when I was a kid, I was so ecstatic about it and I wanted to evoke the same feelings, right? And every time when you remind yourself why you do that and you rewatch things that inspire you or listen to people that inspire you, things will just fall into place. You'll understand why you have to do it, and then it's going to be almost like play, right? Another thing is make things fun for yourself, right? Let's go into a positive loop. So this is my negative loop, and sometimes it would go like go smoke a cigarette on a balcony and then contemplate about the meaning of life and how pointless everything is, and how you should not do it, and will your parents cry if you die, will the world miss you, and all of that. That's all negative loops again. And again, thoughts they're like little seeds that grow in your brain. And then in negative loops, that's the problem. Sometimes you need an outside force, like I'm a man of faith, like God, or sometimes friends or someone else, just to intervene and pull you out. And this lecture is actually exactly the same thing. It's designed to show you the problem and try to pull you out. And thoughts, right? If you have the same thoughts over and over and over again, and you don't download new thoughts into your brain, you're going to be forever in a Groundhog Day of suckness. Groundhog Day of suckness and doom and death and misery in the kingdom of loneliness. Can I be a little bit more dramatic with this? Loneliness, right? So now let's talk about positive loops, right? Remember when I said that in my life I was lucky enough to encounter positive loops? Oh, Julie, why are you here? Hello, Julie.
Oh, I don't know. Hello.
Yeah, goodbye. Yeah, so now let's talk about positive loops. Yeah, one of my mods accidentally joined the stage. Yeah, hey everybody, this is Julie. Hope you heard her awesome mechanical keyboard. Don't feel bad, Julie. It's fine. We are. I like that we're a wholesome community that is not trying to be professional, even a little. All right, to the positive loops. So remember when I told you that I encounter some of the positive loops by accident, right? And how did that happen? That happened like this. I traveled to America. I had like $300 in my pocket. I lived on a farm taking care of the horses, and I had super sucky internet, and I had no friends, and I lived at some point in a trailer with really sucky internet and a really bad laptop. I lived in a trailer. I had a little kind of like table. It's not sad, guys. It's a good thing. I had some friends, but they weren't like very active, so I couldn't like go to the skate park with them. So I had a super sucky bamboo, tablet, and I had a really, really old laptop that could only run Paint Tool Site. There's a reason I am painting in Paint Tool Site right now, right? Old bamboo Vacom. I had to share my Wi-Fi from my iPhone 2 or iPhone 3. I don't remember. Everyone was already like with really, really good iPhones. I got it for free from a friend or something like that. And it had like 1 gigabyte of data, I think, a month, maybe less, something like that. And some people will say, oh man, that's horrible. But the thing is, this was the best thing that ever happened to me. Why? First of all, I couldn't get distracted because I couldn't load any movies or YouTube videos. I couldn't play Dota because I had like 500 ping. And you know what playing Dota with 500 ping is. Like, you can only play techies, maybe. People who know, they know, right? So I had 500 ping on my Dota account, right? And that's the only game on low settings that could get onto my laptop. So I was very lucky. I couldn't play really good games. right? I had old bamboo so I can paint, right? And I lived in a trailer in a secluded area with no distractions, no nothing. I didn't have enough. I had a truck, an old truck, zombie apocalypse, like in the zombie land, right? That was very expensive on gas. You could see the gas gauge go down, right? As the fuel was going down. And you know what? I couldn't go places, because I live in a super remote area, which is a valley surrounded by mountains, and there's no McDonald's, no fast food, no nothing, no internet cafes. So here I am in the middle of nowhere. I do have friends, but not friends that hang out with me because all of their ages are like above 40 and 50. I know I'm weird this way. Maybe that's why I'm an old soul, is because all of my friends are above 50 or 60-year-old, right? Most of them at least. And here I'm sitting, and then here's how my day went, right? I would wake up, go to a day job, work my 8 hours or 10 hours. I worked 4 days for 10 hours so I can have 3 days off. And now I'm going to just talk about how my free day would go, right? I would wake up, right, in my trailer, and then go get myself, because the cheapest thing there was, it was oatmeal. It was good food, oatmeal, microwavable oatmeal. But it was the good brand. I would do oatmeal, and because I didn't have a phone, I would just sit with my oatmeal and a spoon, and I would sit in my chair with the reclining feet, and a little lever over here, and I would just think how creative I can be today, what I can do on my for my career, right? Because the only thing that I had data for on my phone was for chatting in Discord, because it didn't take much, right? So I was like, okay, cool. I would come up with a victory plan for the day, right? Victory plan for today. Like, what fun things I can do. Plan for today, right? And then I would just go on my laptop after I eat all my stuff, and I would just start painting, and then I would join Discord, and I'd be like, hey, what you working on, blah, blah, blah. And I would work like this till I had to go to bed, like around, I don't know, 9 or 10, because I used to waking up early because of my day job, around 6:30 a.m., right? And I would go to bed around 9 or 10, of course, taking breaks in between. When you're young, it's okay, right? And and then I would talk to people on Discord, make connections, and those connections led to more connections, to portfolio tips and everything else. And then as I was living like this day to day, I had this is how I was kind of operating on the weekends, right? Lunch break here somewhere. Sometimes I will go for a walk. Very rarely, but again, my body is getting older. I need to go for walks or do physical activity. I also had rock gym 3 times a year, or 3 times a year, 3 times a week. So I would paint in the morning, do a lunch break, go to the rock gym, get buff, and then go back, paint a little bit more for a few hours, and then I'll go back to sleep. And then that was my time of day. This is my cycle, my positive cycle during the weekends. And the only thing that changed during the week, I would had a 10-hour job in the first part of my day. And because I had good Wi-Fi on my job, I knew that I had 10 hours to listen to everything that I could on YouTube about concept art or anything that I wanted to learn, write it down on my little notebook, because I couldn't have access to it while I would go to the trailer, right? And would try to understand everything I could in those 10 hours. So in dedicated time, I was learning, writing everything down, and then not only watching, most people watch a tutorial like this. Oh, cool, tutorial, next. But I didn't have that opportunity, because I knew that I had 10 hours to watch a tutorial, and I had to memorize everything to go back and implement into my drawing, right? And then I'll go back, and I would be back around 7 or 7:30 p.m., right? Back to my trailer in a trailer park full of addicts and weird people, right? And I would sit down on my computer and try to remember, look at my little sketchbook notes that I would collect my ideas in. What did I learn, and how can I implement it right now into my drawing, right? So that was accidentally, through circumstances, positive loop that I encountered, right? Pretty lucky, huh? And you know what? A lot of people think that if they're from a third world country, or they have less than other people, They are more at the disadvantage. But I'm gonna tell you guys, people who come from wealthier families, they have more distractions. They have less whys. And you know what my why was when I was in this positive loop? I need to get out of it because I don't really like I liked my job, but it was not comfortable enough to stay in. Like I still didn't do the stuff that I was really passionate about. I was changing text on t-shirts and then doing some stickers here and there, right? And I had access to Wi-Fi. That's what I liked. It was too far away, right? So a lot of people, I forgot what this syndrome is called. Some people, they find themselves in a good job with good money, not very complicated, and then they love what they have, but they know deep in their mind that it's not what they want. But it's too hard to quit because things are too good, right? But people who are, let's say, in a position like in the trailer, right? Not enough money, I can't pursue. I have a crappy laptop, a crappy tablet. It's easier for me to quit a job that is not comfortable because I don't really like it that much, and pursue the stuff I love because I'm already uncomfortable. You see what I'm saying? So people who right now think I'm at a disadvantage, I don't have lots of money. Good. You are at a better advantage than people who have it really, really good. Because people who have it really, really good, they have nothing to fight for most of the time because they're in a comfort zone. Why should I pursue my art career, right? Like some people say, you got a lot of gain if you have nothing to lose. Yep. So it's a big advantage. So this was my positive loop that I had for like 3 years. Let's dissect it a little bit. What was it? It was same time of day when I would get up and I would think about what I would do for the rest of the day. I would write a victory plan, and I always kept in my mind, I want to be a great artist who tells stories and evokes emotions. I'm not really sure how I'm going to earn money with it yet, but I know that I need to pursue it further because that's what interests me. I didn't know that color scripting existed. I did not know that the creative industry even was a thing. I was learning everything on my own through YouTube and trying to, dissect everything. I didn't have me who would do like an art camp and say, hey, here you go, little child, just swallow this concept art VisDev pill and you'll understand everything. Okay, I didn't have that. And to be honest, it probably was a good thing because, now I can teach the stuff that I learned because, well, I had to teach myself. And it's actually really nice now because I love teaching, right? So again, what was positive? I had same schedule, right? Same schedule. Because constraints create freedom. When you know that you have 2 hours or 3 or 4 hours to paint, and then tomorrow a day job starts, you are painting because you have no other choice than do that, right? When you know that the weekends are limited, you have only 3 of them, you're going to spend the most out of them, right? So, and this is called discipline or habits. When you wake up at the same time and you do the same thing, right? And it starts creating circuitry in your brain of neurons talking to each other, understanding the same stuff, right? We need to learn this. We don't need, like entropy and chaos, we don't need to learn negative loops, right? Because it's a default setting nowadays, right? So now, right? So now what you need to do is just learn the positive loops. And positive loops usually go like this, right? What are the things that I can do right here, right now? If I do them every day, gonna lead to a positive outcome. A negative loop is usually, or a habit or any activities. What if I do this for a long period of time, right? What if I do it for a long period of time? Will it lead to negative stuff or positive stuff? So for example, me playing Dota 2 for a really long time, I don't play it anymore. Will it lead me to some positive things? If I wanted to be a pro Dota player and I really took it seriously, sure, why not, right? If I was really passionate about it. But that's not the thing that I want to do, right? So for example, if I want to be a professional artist and I want to work in the industry, let's say participate in Misha's Discord server doing less, 30-minute death challenges, gesture drawings, is it gonna benefit me directly in my job? Maybe just drawing is not, but will it make you better as an artist and potentially give you a good, good outcome for your thing? Yes. What if you, start doing sports and everything else? So basically, you know what I'm saying. To be productive or to be, to go forward, you don't need to be an entirely perfect human being, right? What you need to do, you need to have more positive loops and more positive habits than negative. Like, for example, I have negative habits. So, for example, I'm a smoker. Trying to quit, it's really hard, right? Started with vaping, went to smoking. Really bad loop. If I continue doing it, I die much, much sooner, right? Does it affect my creativity or anything else? Not yet, right? Sometimes I feel I have low energy and everything else, and I keep it conscious, right? I need your prayer so I can quit this bad habit. But you know what I'm saying, right? So, for example, getting up at the same time during the day and getting up and going to bed early, you know that in the long run, it's going to be beneficial, right? And sometimes you just need a little push from Grandpa Misha to go that way, right? So now I'm just going to show you what my day looks like in a positive loop, right? My positive ideal day. Remember on how to be productive lecture in art camp, we had a concept which is called ideal day concept. It's a concept of basically when you remember everything went perfect. You woke up at the right time, made your bed, had a great breakfast, started your day good. 1 hour when you woke up, no phone. You were energized when you woke up. You went on a Discord with your buddies, did some studies. Then you went into deep work and made amazing progress on your portfolio piece. Closer to the evening, you went to the gym. You feel great and buff and awesome, like a freaking Viking overlord, right? And then you go back, you sketch some more, you plan the day ahead, you clean stuff up, everything is nice, you don't use technology 1 hour before bed, and then you fall asleep tired mentally and physically, and you feel proud of yourself. And then you go to bed, and then you have like awesome dreams of you receiving an Oscar or something, right? So that's an ideal day kind of baseline. And you have to basically try to get that every time, but be realistic. You can't get it every time, right? And you have to be, you have to express gratitude if you have a half decent day and take the wins that you can. And if you have a loss, don't be too hard about yourself. So this is how my positive loops look like. I go to bed around, Luba, what time do we go to bed? 9:30 to 10. 1 hour before, sometimes I turn my Wi-Fi off. So around 8:30, Wi-Fi off. Phone on top of a shelf because I don't need extra stuff in my brain. Okay? I wake up around when I am rested. I wake up, I don't really have an alarm. If I had a day job, I would have had an alarm. But ideally, I wake up around 6:30 to 7:30 without an alarm. If you need an alarm, sure, take the alarm. 1 hour, so from 7:30 to 8:30, no phone. Why? Do you really need to know what's happening in the politics and what other people are doing first thing in the morning? No. You need to think about yourself. What exciting things you're going to do throughout the day, right? And then you do plan. You plan your day. Plan your day. And usually I plan my day like this. I have things that I want to accomplish this week, month, year, and 5 to 10 years. So for example, my big goal, I want to have an animation studio. I want to make Lumber Saga a thing, right? And all that stuff, because I need to remind. I don't need to know. I know those things. I need to remind myself why I'm doing the things that I'm doing and get excited about them. Some people say you shouldn't tell other people about your goals. But I say you should tell all of the world and your wife and your husband and your boyfriend, girlfriend, everybody what you want to do in your life. So they keep you accountable, because every time you speak about it, you need to see, do you still have the fire when you speak about it, right? I'm pretty sure in my voice you feel that I'm still, passionate about the things that I am talking about, right? And that's because I talk about those things. And when I talk about, you know, good habits, I have to remind myself about those things too. And so it's a good feedback loop when you take things out loud and you say stuff, and the emotion is still there. So then I read my Bible, and then or a book after that for like 30 minutes. I eat my oatmeal, and around 9:30. Oh, before that I go to cold shower. Cold shower, very important. I like to stay under warm shower for a really long time. Warm shower, and then I do 1 minute cold shower. Why? I've been doing it since I started my AAA freelance career, so I could stay awake. And I didn't know that cold shower is so beneficial. I didn't watch any self-help books, no nothing. I started doing cold showers before it was mainstream. Not because I thought it was really, really good for my health, but because I was having a hard time staying awake during my freelance jobs because I had trouble completing them. But turns out, cold showers they have two good benefits. And that's when I remember talking about ADHD people. ADHD people have problem with dopamine levels keeping afloat, so they always have to keep them up, right? Like a hit of coffee here, a cigarette there, a YouTube video here, and like our dopamine levels look like this throughout the day, us trying to keep it up, right? And what cold shower does is it keeps the dopamine level constant going throughout the day at a slight decline. I have no idea why, just cold shower does that. So for people who are easily distracted and need like a lot of pleasures in their life right here, right now, cold shower is really, really good. Again, I don't recommend to do it for everybody. Check with your doctor, or like I know only that for men, you should definitely do it. For our awesome female community, I have no idea. Please check with the doctor. We are as simple as bicycles, and women are a little bit more complex. But yeah, cold shower is not only good for your circuitry of your blood and everything else. It also removes inflammation, because when we sit down, our muscles get stressed out. So that's why if you do hot shower then cold shower, our muscles do better. I have a lot of problems with my neck, so when I do hot shower and with a cold shower, my neck is not inflamed anymore. I have less migraines, less headaches, and all of that. So that's the physical benefit of that. The psychological benefit is that every time you go to a cold shower, it's as hard as it gets every time. So every time what I do is I just count to 10 seconds, 1, 2, 3, to 10. Then I go in, and then I do my bum, I do my head, I do my legs, and I do it like 2 or 3 times, right? And go back and forth. I need to do at least 1 minute. There's one guy, his name is Andrew Huberman. He's like a very good scientist who like talks about habits, and he says that 7 to 11 minutes, I might lie, of cold exposure basically has like huge benefits to your everything, right? Yeah. So another thing that it practices grit, because every morning what you're doing is you are practicing grit. You have to put the cold shower on. You have to step in, right? And when you step in, you have to stay in discomfort. And you know what's the amazing thing is? Cold shower feels great. The only hard thing about cold shower is getting into the cold shower. Then you feel amazing. During it and after it, you feel amazing. And this is a metaphor for our creative lives, right? What we do is, the hardest thing about painting or work and creative career, right, is starting. And when you start, there's such thing as called momentum. And when you gain momentum, you're unstoppable. So technically, our fight is always for momentum and just starting. Because if you know, wrong layer, but it's okay. Because if you start, if you start your things, and if you just do them more than other people, right? If you just do the thing that I tell you, like for example, cold showers, right? Early morning, same schedule. You're gonna be ahead of other people because you're like, okay. I'm like, another thing is there's a cool guy named Jordan Peterson, and he says if you just gonna clean your room or your table or your bed first thing in the morning, it's gonna create already momentum, right? Because you're like, well, hell, I already did my bed and I went to a cold shower, I'm already pretty cool and awesome. Why shouldn't I do other things that I planned out for myself, right? So that's how I start my day. Sorry that this is getting a little bit chaotic, but this is first thing in the morning, right? You know what? I need to make this smaller. So first thing in the morning, cold shower, no Wi-Fi for the first hour. I'm gonna tell you 100%. I not always make the 1 hour rule a thing, because sometimes I need to check my email right now to see if I still have a job. Yeah. So technically, yeah, me and my brother listen to the same guys. Of course, dude, because you're awesome. Sorry, my brother is in the chat. So yeah, cold showers, no Wi-Fi, no nothing. You plan out your victory plan ahead of the day. You keep in mind what you want to become further on, and you identify yourself. And one thing that is very important, guys, you're never going to be ready for your work, for your task, for your project. There's such a thing as growing up to expectations or stepping up. So for example, I remember when like I was teaching some students, right, and I was very disorganized, and I knew that if I would skip sessions teaching them, it would be really bad. So I am not an organized person at heart. I like procrastinating a lot. I like computer games and everything else, but sometimes things are more important than what I am. So when you are thinking about a task at hand, and then it requires you to become a certain person, you have no choice but becoming that. So for example, if some person said here, I want to be the best artist there is, that's a very powerful statement. To become that, you know that you can't stay who you are. So more ambitious the task is, and more responsibility you put on yourself, it's very good. Why? Because you have to step it up and become that to accomplish that. Because if you don't, you know there's going to be negative consequences. And you know what? If you have family members to take care of, if you don't come from wealth or everything or something else, that's a superpower. Why? Because you don't have the luxury to be, a messed up person in a negative loop. You have to step it up to become something. You have to step it up. You have to level up, because you just have no choice. So for example, for me to become who I want to be, which is like I want to have my own animation studio, I want to have Lumber Saga made, and I want to educate people and make that my full-time job, I have to be more organized. I have to be fearless in terms of like, I don't have to be a perfectionist anymore. Why? Well, because for the past, for example, 6 months, I haven't recorded one lecture because I was afraid that there's not enough quality in my videos. I want to have fancy things. And then you know what? I said, you know what? That doesn't matter. One thing that I need to set up, I just have to be not afraid to do it, not afraid to do it unperfect, and just have to do it. So I stepped up out of my comfort zone, out of who I am naturally, which is unorganized, screwed up, who has no organizational skills, and who is a perfectionist. So right now, as you see, this is far away from perfect, but I'm pretty sure you guys you're getting a ton of value from this, because you can apply this into your life, right? And that's what matters, right? I had to step it up, become something that I'm not, because my Viking community depends on it, right? So again, cold shower, waking up at the same time, no internet, no Wi-Fi, victory plan, some food for the soul in terms of like Bible or books, whatever your choice is, right? And then you have your victory plan, you're stepping up who you need to be, and because you know the steps, and the task is hard enough that it's very satisfying to accomplish, but it's not hard enough that it's just crippling. You know your steps, because you wrote the victory plan every morning, and you just do it. And then after I work for around, and here's another hack. I work from around, again, 9:30 or 9 till 1 p.m. There's a thing. You have about 4 hours of super productive time within you. After that, it's just the benefits of those 4 hours that you've done. There's such an app. It's called Peak Time. Peak Time. Google it on the App Store right now. It's very stupid and interesting. I'll explain why. In this app, it basically has two buttons. One is green, one is red. One says right finger and one says left finger. And basically, every hour, for let's say a week, every hour, what you have to do is you have to tap as many times as possible on the right thing with your right finger, with a phone on your table, and with the left finger on your left with the phone on your table. And what's interesting is, what it does, it basically measures the speed between your brain and your finger that you're tapping the phone with. Sorry, this looks a little bit weird, so I'm gonna make an actual hand so this doesn't look weird and inappropriate. But basically what you're doing is you're tapping with your finger, and this app is measuring how fast your neurons, or whatever is running within your body, is communicating between the end of your finger and your brain. And then it puts in the graph, and the difference is going to be like 1.5 seconds, or like a few taps here and there, but you're going to get a graph what time of day in 24 hours you're the most productive with. I figure out that my most productive time is between 9 and 1 or 2 p.m. and then through this app, and then between 2 and 4/5:30, my brain just doesn't want to think. I don't know why, it just doesn't. Sometimes I can force it, but the thing is, it wakes up around 6 p.m. afterwards, and after 6 p.m. I have another 2 hours of I have around 2 hours of productive time, right? And after 2 hours of productive time, you can't do anything productive anymore, right? So overall, I have like from 9 to 1, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have exactly 4 hours before, and 6, 7. So I have around, and 2 hours in the evening. So I have around 6 hours of productive time, right? And it's really important. Again, it comes under the under the category of understanding how you perform throughout the day and knowing thyself, right? And then after this, right, I have a couple of Discord calls, because the thing is, remember when accidentally discovered Positive Lube when I lived in the trailer, I talked to my buddies, and socializing is really important. It's very, very important. You talk about your dreams, you talk about what other people are doing, you reach into other people. So somewhere in the middle of the day, it's not really a rule, it comes to me naturally, so maybe that's why my career became really, really good, really, really fast. I try to make at least 1 or 2 or 3 new connections throughout the week. I message people on Instagram, say, hey dude, your work is awesome, hopefully we can, or ask a question, or like, hey, can you maybe do a lecture for my Discord, or you want to jump on a call and talk about this thing because I think it's going to be blah blah blah. And you know what, because I want to inspire other people, and I want to be inspired by other people too, so I always do it. And I have my tribe, I have you guys, right? I do lectures for you guys, you inspire me, I inspire you, and all of that jazz, right? And then throughout the day, so I talk a lot on Discord. I hang out sometimes in other chats too, with my old friends. And then around like 3:30, because I'm just here when I can't be productive anymore, because I know that I have a gap. I do, again, socializing with other people, and I do learning. And remember when I talked about ADHD brains and procrastination is not bad? We can turn our procrastination into a productive thing. So what did I do all the time? I gamed, and I watched YouTube. And I think gaming is a worse distraction, because you can't really, there's not a whole lot of benefits from gaming for me anymore. There used to be. I know mobile genres now. I friends for Clash of Clans. I know all of the genres, and every time I play, it's like, oh, it's like this game. I don't need to play anymore. I know all of them, right? So I was like, I had a question. How can I make my YouTube addiction into a positive thing? So here's what I did. I I erased the channels that just had the memes and just stupid stuff that yelled in my ear, and I only saved and watched people that are better than me and that I want to become. So it's either scientists, philosophers, stoics, business people, people who made it in the art career, animators, animation things. And I made a separate Discord channel for myself. And then I have like, I can, if you want, I can actually, what, let me make a screenshot. So for example, here's how it looks. So for example, right, I have my own Discord channel. I have like ideas, Misha's library, and here I categorize everything that I watch on YouTube. And every time I have a video, for example, I post a video in there that resonated with me, and then I make little notes about this video. How can it make my life, my process, or my art career better, and what I learned from there, right? I'm still doing the same thing I'm doing, but in a productive way. I'm watching YouTube and I'm enjoying it, but I'm doing it consciously, right? It's conscious YouTube watching. And YouTube is one of the best resources out there for learning. I learned everything I know about concept art from YouTube. Now I'm learning everything about business through YouTube, right? And after I'm done learning and getting inspired, I usually get new ideas. New ideas. It could be for this Discord, for monetization, for my freelance career, for my animation studio, for my stories. Again, I'm trying to, this saying, crap in, crap out in programming, especially around AI, right? Our brain works exactly the same. Crap in, crap out. High quality stuff that you put in your brain leads to high quality ideas, and high quality ideas lead to action, and action leads to success, right? So after I have a bunch of ideas, when I organize everything in my own Discord server, it's free. You don't need to have Notion, any skills on documenting. It's just a server for yourself. You can even add ChatGPT to it if you want to, right? And then what you do, you go to the gym. I go to the gym 3 times a week. To the gym. And you know what? It, like, I wouldn't say it changed my life, but it made my life much more easier. Like, let's see, I'm gonna even show you. Like, I pushed really hard for the first, I would say, how many years of my life? My first 5 years of my life, probably, in concept art. So this is how I looked. This is how I looked 7 months ago. And I know, like, it's just to show, the difference, right? This is me 7 months ago. This is me now. And this is just 3 times a week, going to the gym, right? So this is me after lots of AAA projects, not going outside, not having vitamin D, not having anything in my blood whatsoever. And this is just 3 times a week, eating like a normal person and sleeping like a normal person. All right. And you guys don't need to become this. Okay. You don't need to become this to understand what I'm saying right now. Don't become this. Okay. Be a Viking warrior. Okay. You feel better. You look better, and you feel more confident within yourself too, because our brain is a muscle, basically, right? So what you have to understand is, if you take care of your body, you are investing into your brain. Okay. Another thing that I a little bit didn't say is, after a cold shower in the morning and 1 hour with no Wi-Fi, a lot of scientists say that you go out into the sun and you just stand there absorbing, because vitamin D we really need it in our body. I'm gonna tell you this. I had months, I'm not even kidding, especially when I went into Russia and I was like in deep depression and there was so much work I couldn't get outside. I stayed inside of my apartment for 6 months without going outside once purposefully, right? Most of the time, what I was saying. Okay, I lost my thought. But I stayed in, I stayed inside for 6 months, and I didn't go outside purposefully, right? For 6 months, I felt so miserable. I made the most money in my life. Don't get me wrong, in terms of freelance, right? I had a really good day rate. I was working with Borja, and I made like in 6 months more than I did like in a year and a half to 2 years of my freelance career before that. Was it worth it? Well, I look like a freaking cancer patient, right? And it all worked out at the end, right? But I rather feel good, have a little bit of money in my bank account, and feel inspired and enjoy life than look like a cancer patient and hate everything that I do. Okay, it's all about balance. And you know what? When I was starting out as a freelance artist, no one told me about balance. Everyone said about you have to get the job as soon as possible here or here right now. I'm gonna tell you this: you can enjoy life without having a full art life or art career, right? And still produce really, really good art, and then just go independent. But anyway, shower, vitamin D, book, Bible, prayer, or some people call it meditation, right? And then you turn your Wi-Fi on, you come up with a victory plan, you do your productive 4 hours, socialize, learn while you're having fun and document everything, right? And then you go to the gym. I go to the gym 3 times a week. 3 times a week. When I don't go to the gym, I either take a nap or I take more notes from YouTube videos, right? And then you come back, dinner, right? So dinner. Right before you go to the gym, you have lunch. And I like to skip breakfast. Either skip breakfast or I have a little oatmeal. I have oatmeal on my table right now. I didn't finish it because I really wanted to do this lecture. Is this helpful to you guys so far? I don't know. You guys have a life of your own in the voice chat, but hopefully it is helpful. So, and the thing is, why I think I don't like eating a lot. So a lot of the times I lose a lot of weight when I'm doing freelance work, because I feel that my brain operates at a much slower level when I have food in my stomach versus when I go, like some people call it intermittent fasting. I don't know. I just like thinking on an empty stomach, and then when I'm done, then I go and eat, right? Yeah. So lunch is really important. A good lunch, right? You need to have meat, eggs, fish, salads, all that stuff. You know, I'm not a nutrition. I have a wife that is basically a personal trainer now, and my brother's wife is a personal trainer. So I have my eating all up to date. But you need to educate yourself about that, because again, we as artists are so interesting. We will go in and be like, you know what? I feel like crap. I have no energy. I feel depressed, and I am super unproductive. But of course, your brain is overstimulated. You eat like crap, and you don't eat good things that provide zero energy to your body, right? You don't go outside. You have no vitamin D. Your body is basically dying, right? Because even people who are paralyzed, right, and just laying in bed, they have like masseuses who like massage their body to get their blood flow everywhere, right? So basically what you need to do is go to the gym, not to look buff, right? But you know what? Let's be honest. I look much more like a Viking leading my people looking like this than looking like this. You agree, guys? Would you follow this guy into the battle, or you follow this guy into battle? Okay. So what I do at the gym, I do an hour and a half, and again, it's not for everybody. I do an hour and a half to 2 hours. I do 1 hour rock climbing, and I do 1 hour calisthenics slash like pull-ups, push-ups. I do 3 sets of pull-ups, as many as I can with weight, sometimes without. And then as a warm-up, I do like 5 muscle-ups. Then I do stands on like, there's like special things, and I do like arm stands like this on them, and I do an L stand on them. It kind of looks like this. I do an L stand. This is my arms, right? And then I do bench, I do biceps, I do triceps, I do hands and upper body twice a week, and then I do just like just regular bench sit-ups with like super great bum up and down. It's just leg day, and then like pistol squats. It's when you do like a thing on one of your leg, and yeah. Anyways, it's really good for your bum. And then the thing is, your legs. It's called it's a blood pump of your body. So if you exercise your legs, you're doing it not to look good and awesome and handsome, but you do it to feel good. Because if your blood is pumping more, if your legs are pumping more to your body, to your head, that means there's more oxygen. There's more oxygen in your head, right? So yeah, another thing is sitting is the new smoking. So you need to get up. I am guilty of this. I don't usually get up that much off my place other than to pee, but you need to get up at least every hour or 30 minutes or so, right? And my rule of thumb is I ask myself, am I productive? Am I doing something good at this computer, or am I wasting my time? If the answer is I'm wasting my time, I'm doing nothing. So again, consciousness. I like this exercise. It's called following yourself with a camera. When you have a camera following you, almost like a movie, and you can narrate your movie. Look at this idiot sitting for 3 hours straight doing absolutely nothing, looking at YouTube, and you're like, oh, yikes, I should go for a walk. See, it's really, really helpful to be conscious of yourself this way. So yeah, some people do standing desks. Some people do, like, I have a sketchbook to my right. So if I can't step away and I don't need to be at my computer, I go away. Another thing is for people who are very overwhelmed and don't know what to do. This is for you guys. I have this weird thing. It's called the command journal, center journal. So I basically push button to record my voice. And I say to myself how I feel. I give myself advice. What should I do, and then what should I do in the next hour, right? And then it's like an out loud thing to expressing your thoughts. In my most anxious days, when I'm like I have no idea what to do, I just talk to myself through a tape recorder, kind of like a detective, in a movie. Day 3 of surviving on this island, trying to. Anyways, you understood. Yeah, another thing that I do in the gym, I do a lot of stretching. I have a little kind of roller thing, and then I put my I put my body on it, and then I roll back and forth until something cracks in my back, and it's super awesome and great. Yeah. And then I go back home victorious. I feel great. My arms look bigger, and I eat dinner. I drink creatine, this thing for my muscles to look bigger. Basically, what it does is I lose a lot of weight really fast, and creatine, what it does, it basically delivers protein, everything else faster to your muscles. Yeah, it's not anabolics, no nothing. It's just a supplement, right? I experiment with supplements. Oh, actually, I bought Alpha Brain once from Joe Rogan. It has some kind of like good productive mushrooms in it. Some helps with ADHD, but I'm not sure if at the same time I went back into my Positive Lube as I was starting taking it, and I feel that it was like placebo effect. Also, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink energy drinks because they make me anxious. So every time, basically, when you do anything in your life, think about, is it positive or negative? Am I in a positive loop? And what I need to change? Honestly, to get started in a positive loop, you just need to exchange. Okay, this is a positive loop now. You just need to exchange one thing in your negative loop. All right, I suggest exchanging the day that when you go to bed and when you wake up. Okay, the phone rule. If you're just gonna change those two things, you probably will have better. You will have better start of the day and the end of the day, okay? And you might just feel much better, okay? You don't need to become a different person tomorrow, but this is my blueprint of how I live life, okay? I have a pretty good day rate as a freelance artist. I have a lot of connections in the industry, and there's haven't been a day in my life that I was like, oh, I'm screwed. I don't know what to do with my art career, because even though I go through negative loops a lot in my life, but the difference is I know that I'm in a negative loop and I'm trying to break free. Right? and go into a positive loop. And honestly, the difference between this is a feeling of frustration, Sean, with yourself. Okay? But when you feel frustrated with yourself, and you have to get yourself in a positive loop out of love towards yourself, not out of hate. Okay? You need to do this because you need to treat yourself as a friend. Okay? You need to treat yourself as a friend. Would you want your best friend to experience this life? No. Treat yourself as a friend. Love yourself. Give yourself advice. Be your own hype man. That's one of my rules. Be my own hype man. And I call this transition, this is called Phoenix Protocol. I call it Phoenix Protocol. You know, the bird that burns up and then reinvents itself. I go through this Phoenix Protocol many times throughout the year, right? And the victory is if you have more positive loops than negative loops. Because if you have more positive loops, you're going to make progress. If you're going to be constantly in a negative loop, you're not going to accomplish nothing, okay? You're not going to accomplish your creative career or goal. You're gonna stay where you're at, not pave your way where you want to be. Okay? Treat yourself as the best friend who give yourself advice. Okay, so now you guys know a bunch of stuff, right? Hopefully this was, positive, and hopefully this was useful. And now, you know my daily routine, basically, right? To summarize it is you start at the same time, you think good thoughts, you come up with a victory plan, you rise up to the challenge to become the person that you need to, you socialize along the way, you know thyself, and you know when you're productive and not, and then you keep your habits that are positive for you and thoughts, and keep the habits that are not away, that affect where you want to be with your goal. You still can procrastinate on YouTube, but in a productive way, by learning and implementing ideas through associative thinking that will get you to your next step or will inspire your art or your business or anything, okay? And then you take care of your body so you feel awesome and great and proud of yourself. And when you look in the mirror, you're like, you know what? I didn't make any progress today, but at least I'm buff. And then you go to bed at the same time, feeling grateful about your day and doing it out of love to yourself because you're your best friend, okay? So this is kind of just a mindset that I do. You are more than free to copy just my daily routine if you want to. I can maybe write it down or somebody can write it down. But now it's time for questions and answers. Okay? So I have some questions here. I'm going to cover them first. Why? Because those are people who came without announcement before everything started, and they're the most active members of this community. And then after this, I'll have the stage open for like 5 or 10 minutes, and anybody here who wants to, you can go ahead, join, and ask your question in the voice or in text, and I will answer. We'll have another 15 minutes. I know it's going to be a long video for you guys, especially for people who are watching on YouTube. But I don't know how to make videos otherwise, so I take care of the Vikings that are patient enough to listen through the whole thing, and this is a little social media tip for all of you guys. We care about quality of people, not quantity. Okay, so if this video was too long for some people, I'm okay with that. I am grateful for people who stayed all the way through, and just talked with me. So thanks, guys. All right, question number 1: keep good habits going. How to? All right, so a good habit, some people say that it takes like 2 weeks or something to acquire a new habit. I don't know. For me, a good habit acquires by itself when I know why I need it, right? When I know the benefit of it. So for example, I know that if I go 3 times a week, right? Like again, this is the testimony. This is the testimony. I went 3 times a week. Nothing special, without a trainer. I didn't even look up any freaking workout routines. Nothing, right? All I did is I knew that if I'm gonna wiggle my body, it's gonna it's gonna lead to a positive effect. So if you know your why, right, you'll keep the habit because you'll see slowly but surely the progress. Another thing is, if you want to have your habits going, the environment that you are in, right? Environment is really important. So, for example, if I want to be sober and I live amongst alcoholics, how hard it is to keep my my habit of being sober. Really hard. Okay, so if you are among people who don't draw, don't paint, think bad thoughts, and are very negative, you're not gonna think positive. You're not gonna be, you're not gonna be productive. So what you need to do is to keep good habits. You need to think why you need them and how they benefit them, and you need the surroundings, the environment around yourself to inspire that, right? So hopefully I answered that question. How to create projects for yourself that are going to be beneficial for your portfolio, and how to know that they're going to be beneficial. Number one thing is you can always go and compare uh, yourself to other people, what they have in their portfolio. So to be honest, I think it will be good that we don't think only about only art people here, but creative people in general. So if you're a photographer, visual development artist, animator, it's all the same. You go, you look at people who made it in the industry, see what they have in their portfolio, and if you don't like their portfolio, you pave your own way. So for example, there's such a thing as your career is little bricks of, yes, this is the right step, but I don't know my final destination. So some of you guys may be even inventing your own thing. So for example, color scripting it was never very popular, and I didn't know color scripting even existed, but I knew that I hate rendering and I hated doing polishing, right? So what I did very fast thumbnails in a very short amount of time that had atmosphere, mood, and story in them. I didn't know how it would benefit me long term. I didn't see portfolios of other people who are color scripters, but I still did it because it made sense to me, because I loved it and enjoyed it. And then I found that, oh, I can monetize it. See? So what you have to do is something that brings you inspiration, that fulfills you, and then you ask yourself, where can I fit in the industry? And then maybe you do little adjustments, 2 or 3% in your style, maybe, or something else, right? But again, it's those little bricks that you're laying down. I enjoy doing little sketches that are in color. I have no idea where it's going to lead. I enjoy script writing. I enjoy this artist. I discovered this artist who has color scripts in his portfolio. See, because I've been faithful with my little steps forward, I discovered the thing that I wanted. But thankfully for you, you have me. So you can always ask a question in Q&A thing and say, hey, I like doing this. Where can I be? And there's going to be people who will answer that for you. I didn't have that when I was starting out. I was alone in my trailer, going through the fog, like hedgehog in the fog, not knowing where I was going. Okay, so you guys have me. I got you, boys. I got you, everybody. Yeah, my dear Vikings, I got you. You don't need to go anywhere. I'm here. I got you. All right. 12 hours a day. How do you keep up with this? How to do everything and anything at once? Okay, I know that is Marco's question, and it's a very good question, because I struggle with this. I struggle with this a lot, because my brain works like this. It works in layers. I'm like, this idea, it's great, but what about this Miley Cyrus song? But what about like getting your Oscar and then an animation studio? But what about this scene where the Viking is dying, you're crying, there's Viking metal in the background? And you know what? It would be really nice to look like this actor because he's buff. Okay. But then to be more productive, I'm like, hey, I want to run my Discord community. But what about YouTube? What about Instagram? How am I gonna become, known? And can I make my animation studio? And the thing is, you can't do everything at once. You need to have priorities. Step 1, what is the most important thing that I can do right now that is going to give me the most impact, right? So for example, if I do a helpful artist community, and let's say I'll monetize it somehow, and I make it my full-time job, I don't have to do freelance anymore. And then out of this, I can make my animation studio, right? Because I have a need for teaching and inspiring. That's who I am, right? I don't know how I'm gonna monetize this community. Maybe I won't even. Who knows? Maybe I'll find $1 million or gold in the mountains that I'm gonna dig up with spoons. But what I'm saying is priorities. My priority is this. I have a need to teach. I have a need to inspire other people because that's how I get inspired. That's my priority. I should do it right here, right now, because it's going to lead to my destination, right? Like gesture drawings, environment stuff, all of that stuff. It's good, but why are you doing this? The why. All those are beneficial, but you need to focus on something that is going to give you the most impact. So, for example, if I was an environment artist, plein air paintings and my personal environments are the priorities. Gesture drawings and portrait paintings, not that important to get me to my final destination as an environment artist. Later on, as an environment artist, if I want to switch something, I can do more portrait paintings on my free time. Why? Because I don't need to learn environments anymore. You get me? Right? So if you have 12-hour days, I'm not sure if you are 100% productive on those 12-hour days. But I'm going to tell you this. I very rarely can work 12 hours a day productively. Again, you have 4 hours to build your dream where you want to end up. And you need to say, it needs to be specific. And I'm going to tell you this, that everything is beneficial in our career, but not at the same time. So for example, when I was doing my color keys for a portfolio before I got a job, I didn't do polished work. I knew that I had to pump out as many paintings as possible because polish is not what's important. And then I did 3 paintings that were polished. Why? Because I'm like, well, it would be nice to show at least 3 polished pieces in my portfolio so people can see that I can do polished work. You see what I'm saying? Right? Priorities first. A skill or a project or a habit that gets you to your destination the fastest. That's just the main skill that you have to level up, and everything else they can come afterwards. Okay, hopefully that helped. I'm not sure, but yeah. 4, schedule or routine is not always fun. Well, schedule and routine, if it's not fun, make it fun. Okay, again, think of the benefits. A lot of the times I try to trick my mind. I feel like I'm gonna try a routine of Albert. Let's call him Albert. My brain is so screwed, guys. I've been talking for an hour and a half. Albert Einstein, okay? Albert Einstein, okay? Albert Einstein. I'm gonna try his routine. I'm gonna feel like a super genius scientist, Or if it's not working anymore, you can try basically different personas. As a child, I did all the time. I am toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. I can breathe fire, and you feel super awesome and cool. Or when you're listening to music and you feel like a Viking. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to feel yourself in the shoes of a person you're trying to become. You're like, well, and a lot of the times you need to identify with the things that is your habit. So for example, I'm an artist. I need to paint and draw. I feel not good when I'm not creating because it goes against who I am. And you know what? We procrastinate the most and try not to do the things that are most important to us. You know why? Because our brain is afraid of failure. Our brain is afraid that if you're gonna do the thing that you love the most and you're gonna fail, you're gonna get hurt. And if you're gonna get hurt, that's gonna be painful. And our brain is really good at keeping us safe, right? Let's just go play Overwatch a little bit because that's easier. We don't care about that much, right? You don't procrastinate on stuff that you don't care. You need to wash your dishes. Mom is coming in the door in 30 minutes. You're gonna do it, or like, can you wash the dishes? Sure, you'll do it, right? You heard a bark? Sorry. Yeah. So, anyways, I'll bark. Anyways, what I'm saying is, if you identify with the person that you want to be, you can act as that person again. Level up yourself to become that person because you need to acquire discipline and routine because you know why you need to become that person. And more people involved in that, better it is. So, for example, I know that if I'm not gonna be happy and if I'm not gonna find a way out of like depression or how to be creative, I'm not gonna be only screwing myself over, but I'm gonna be screwing my community over. Because if I lead by a bad example, who I am as a leader, right? So same thing with you guys. If you have people that you are responsible for you, maybe for your loved ones, or you're responsible before God to invest into your God-given talent. acquire that personality of who you need to be, and then step up into those shoes, right? And then I'm gonna tell you this: it's not, again, procrastination and hardship acquires or appears only when you do the things that are important. You have the most resistance, and we talked about the resistance when you're doing the stuff that you love, because you're afraid to fail, because it is so important to you that you are taking you're delaying when you're gonna do it till the last possible moment, because you don't want to fail. And the only reason, or the only way how to tackle this, is not to be afraid to fail. Why? Because failure is the most, it's the most awesome. Yeah, fail faster. It's the most awesome thing that can happen to you. Because when I paint, if I have nothing on my canvas, I have nothing to fix. If I have nothing to fix on my canvas, I cannot get to my next step. If you cannot fail at being an artist, that's why we practice, to become good. We don't paint because we're already good. We paint to become good, okay? So if you don't do the things that you love, you're not going to practice the things that you love. You're not going to become good at it. You're not going to become fulfilled, okay? And routine, is schedule, is a mechanism. It's a way to organize your life and do the thing that you love in a confined space and time, because you're too ADHD to organize yourself. There's some people who don't need to organize themselves. They just go in and then work, and they have all the focus in the world. But that's not me, and I know that's not a lot of you. Okay, how, when, and with what to go to a potential employer. You go to a potential employer with one word, and I already said it many times. I'm here to make your life easier. I'm here to solve a problem. That's number one. You know what problem you're gonna solve for that client, and you are gonna show that you can you can solve that problem. I'm turning into a snake. You can solve that problem by showing their portfolio and showing that you already solved similar looking problems, right? And then you come to them with one sentence: I'm here to make your life easier and solve all your problems through visual medium. Okay, that's what you do. You just need a portfolio, a good attitude, professional attitude, and one sentence: I'm here to make your life easier and solve your problems. That's it. That's how you get a job. And with what? When you may never feel ready, but you always try to get new jobs. You can always reapply. But the best indicator is if you put your portfolio next to a professional who does similar things that you do, and your stuff looks really good next to them, it's time. Okay? But I'm gonna say this: show your work to everybody. Sometimes people will give you a chance. So yeah, you never know. Don't be afraid to share your passion and things that you work in your portfolio, because too many people come to people like, oh, look at my work. That's not the mentality. The best mentality ever is, here, I want to share my art with you because I put a lot of work into it, and it's pretty awesome. It's precious to me. If people say bad things about your stuff, you say, thank you for your input. It's very valuable, right? I do as I please after it. You can either accept it or deny it. Okay. All right, first gigs, and who did you know to get into the industry? I hung out in Discord with some people, and they were my friends. And at some point, a person that almost like what I am to you now, guys, shot me an email. No, he posted a potential unpaid job opportunity to Facebook group, and I called in sick on my day job, even though I wasn't sick, and I spent like 12 hours painting it, and I got a gig. It was an indie project of one of the Riot Games employees, and I think I was paid $2,000 for it. That was pretty good for a first gig, right? I was very blessed, and I really needed the money to transfer my there to be future wife back to not back to America and pay lawyers and all that stuff. But yeah, if you're faithful and you show dedication, you'll get opportunities like this. And those are the doors that not everybody takes. There was another guy with me who took the same door, did the art test, and got too scared that he wouldn't be able to complete the job, and he went away. I wasn't scared, even though I wasn't qualified. And I see, again, the same concept. You are not born ready. You accept the challenge, and then you grow into that challenge. You become the person that you need to become. I actually, for my first freelance job, had to do a polished artwork, and never done polished artwork. And I could have said, you know what, I'm not gonna do it. But what I did, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna learn in the process. I know I can do it because I'm a smart person, and I can explain things to myself. Okay, so that's confidence and growing into the shoes that you need to become. How do you balance between learning and work on a personal project? Should you learn first and you do your own thing, or work both at the same time? How do you balance between learning and work on personal projects? I combine my personal projects and learning. If you learn first, then do your own thing, or work on both at the same time. I don't like, again, when I'm doing a painting and listening to a video on the side on YouTube, and there's something about perspective, I incorporate it right away into my new painting, right? Right? That's all you have to do. I learn most when I learn something from YouTube, like a fundamental knowledge or a tip and trick, and then I don't go and practice it on the side. I go and implement it right away into my new painting, and that's just the fastest way I think I like to learn. There's benefit in studying and doing a lot of things on your own, especially in the beginning, and I suggest you doing them, but that's how I learned all the fundamentals. I was just inspired about my personal work, and I wanted to do it over and over and over again. And every time I learned a new thing on YouTube, I was like, you know what? I want to go and test it out right here, right now. So I say one doesn't have to exclude another. If you are super beginner, do studies, but do like 2 weeks of studies, 1 week of personal work from beginning to an end. Because there's too many study artists who only do like gesture studies or form studies or value studies, and their entire portfolio looks like a giant study session. And you don't want to do that. You are studying to implement that into your personal work. You're not studying to be a study artist, okay? So sooner you can implement stuff into your personal work and develop your own voice as an artist, better it is, okay? Okay. What if you have a lot of ideas and not enough time for drawing at all? Start making notes, trying a rough style. With time, the ideas start disappearing and I feel disappointed because of not making it to life. All right, I already answered this question, but I have this saying, and I'm sorry for people who's gonna offend it, but grab your ideas by the balls, okay? With a Z at the end, because that's the only sentence that people remember. When you have an idea and it's inspirational and you feel an emotion and you have like, it tickles your heart and maybe you're crying, maybe you feel like a Viking or you are at the top of the mountain battling, a giant creature or a Bigfoot, and you feel the thing and the music is blasting in your ears and you're watching a movie or an animation and it's worth documenting. Pull out the phone, sketch something out, write it down, sketch it on a sketchbook. But I'm gonna tell you this: you need to capture ideas while they're hot. That's why I say grab them by the balls and don't let go until until you get the idea on a piece of paper. I have a full folder where it has like rough drawings with some references in them. In the description, what's going on in the drawing. So when I have no ideas, I can come back to that folder and just pull anything I want, right? But yeah, grab your ideas by the balls. It's the best. It's the best. I don't know, sentence that I use in my life. There's probably a more gracious way to phrase it, but yeah. Right, last question. I'm too intimidated to start my art business. I'm too self-conscious when I post my art online. I don't feel good about them. I often post on my Insta account, start good, going like 3 months, then I'm burned out. I haven't posted anything for 6 months now. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not sure about what business you're doing. What is it? Freelance business? Is it like you're trying to do your own, I don't know, YouTube independent stuff like Peter Moorbacher or Ross Draws or anything like that? But I'm gonna tell you this: I don't post on Instagram either right now because I don't see why should I do it. Instagram never got me customers that I wanted to like. It's a good tool to talk about this or that, but Instagram is very pointless right now. Honestly, I suggest YouTube more. Or Discord channels. Instagram is kind of like a benefit thing. ArtStation, same thing. So I'm gonna say this: if your art business is around freelancing, your Instagram account just needs to have 5 art directors following you. You don't need lots of people. If your art business is around, let's say, your audience who's gonna buy your prints, And maybe try recording speed paints on YouTube and gaining an audience on YouTube, Discord, Instagram at the same time. Again, it's all about the why you should do it. If you're doing numbers for the sake of numbers on Instagram, again, just as you said before, we're not here for the quantity of people. We're here for quality of people. I know dead Instagram accounts that have like 300,000 who get like 1,000 likes. That is equivalent of like 5 likes, right? Um, and it's absolutely pointless. I know people who have their freelance careers and they have like 100 subscribers on their Instagram account. It doesn't mean anything. It's all about quality, not quantity. I'd rather you have 2 art directors gonna follow you and love your work and hire you every 2 to 3 to 4 months on their production than 20,000 people who like and subscribe and comment, but you can't really monetize that. That's again what you want to do with your art career. You either want to monetize your audience. So for example, you guys listening to me, you're my audience. So technically I have potential monetization in terms of like courses or maybe mentorships, right? I don't do this right now. Well, actually I'm gonna have a little announcement at the end of it all, but it's just an idea. But again, for this there's not enough information for you to answer your question. So yeah. There's one question. What if art directors are following you on Instagram but you still wake up no emails from them? That means you have to become slowly better, or there's just not enough job yet right now, because we are going into a little recession for a few months or maybe a year. 2023 will be interesting. So it's time to just hone on the skills and just go like that. So yeah, hopefully this was beneficial to you guys. I know it's a 1 hour and 46 minutes. Yeah, but the last news that the industry is gonna get hard. It was always hard, guys. Don't get discouraged. There's always a place under the sun for people, right? If you love what you do and you get a little bit lucky here and there, and I will continue giving you tools and things to use in your freelance career. So hopefully this was useful. Please don't just listen to this and do nothing about it. Get inspired. Write practical things out of this. I know it was a lot and I'm not always great at expressing my thoughts, but hopefully you can get at least something. And if you didn't get something, just go and rewatch it again. And again, I apologize, my speech in English will get a little bit better as I practice more and more. So hopefully this was useful. And for announcements, there's a private mentorship thing that I'm preparing right now. I'm basically trying to create a super private club, like super dedicated Vikings. It's probably gonna be like a subscription a month or something on a private Discord server with all of us guys, and I'm gonna be basically leading you to victory. It's gonna be a super close group of people. We're gonna have like calls 3 times a week. We're gonna talk about mentality. We're gonna be talking about how to get your art career to the next level, your personal projects, where you want to be, and it's gonna be basically a accountability thing. So if you guys are interested about this, there's going to be more news about it later on, or if it's already happening, there's going to be like a link to something underneath this video. I don't know. I'm still kind of trying to figure out how to make this place sustainable, not in terms of it's already sustainable as it is. You guys are amazing. We have Dasha and Lena, for example, running. You know what? I'm gonna show you on a YouTube video, guys. Oh, ooh, my face. Ooh. Where's it? Display capture. No. Windows capture. Here you go. I'm gonna show you guys. Basically, we have Dasha and Lena running the Discord community with a bunch of events. So people who are right now guests in this thing. We have every week we have announcements of what we're doing throughout the week and the time and what voice chat to join. We have voice chats on plein air painting, gesture painting, and keyframe speed painting. It's called Death Challenge, 30-minute Death Challenge. So please, if you don't know what it is, go join them. Dasha and Lena are making amazing things. Yeah, so we have not only lectures like this going to be time to time, but we also have a bunch of events. And again, news about private mentorships and more private Discord community for monetizing all of this is coming soon. But don't worry, people who I've been broke all my life and they don't have money. We're gonna keep as most of the things free and accessible to everybody, so people can tell their stories and make their lives better. So if this was, guys, if this was useful, please, if you know some person is going to benefit from this, please share. Maybe drop a little, positive juju thing, because, even I need, attaboy or you're doing great type of a deal, because it does push me to do more of spontaneous things like that, and think about how I can make your lives better. So without further ado, yeah, that's it. For people who are listening to this on YouTube, as you can see, we have awesome Discord community of Vikings that is pretty active, and we talk with each other all the time. And if you wanna, join it, it's free. It's in the description. I don't hold you back. Also, we have a free visual development course here on YouTube, and if you want to learn visual development for free, you just go into the playlists somewhere on the main page, and you can do that. So yeah, Valhalla is for artists, and Vikings, I love you. You're the best. I really believe in you, and don't listen to other people who say that you can't do something. Okay, if I did it, you can do it, and along the way, I'll help you. But anyways, you guys the best. This is the end. Yeah, I don't know when the next lecture is gonna be. See ya. Hiya.